Panna Cotta is a silky and creamy Italian dessert that is super simple to make yet delicious and incredibly smooth. Panna Cotta is traditionally made with milk and cream and thickened with gelatin, but today we are going to make a 100% dairy-free version. Today I'm going to show you how I make my coconut cream panna cotta, topped with fresh mango, a lime infusion, a crunchy coconut crumble, and a mango cremeux to create a perfectly balanced dessert where you have a custardy element, an acidic element to help cut through all of the fat, a fresh element from the mango, and a crunchy element for texture. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, keep watching. So to kickstart this recipe off, we are going to start with our mango cremeux. The reason we are going to start with the mango cremeux is because it has to crystallize for a minimum of 4 hours. So we are going to start by placing 50 grams or about 3 egg yolks in a bowl with 42 grams or 3.5 tablespoons of sugar, 125 grams or half a cup of mango puree, and the juice of half a lime. Give this a good mix to combine everything and place it over a double boiler. We are going to cook this to 85 degrees Celsius to gently cook the eggs. You want to keep whisking this mixture so that the eggs remain smooth, and the mixture should start to appear thick and fluffy like this. This will cook much faster in a stainless steel bowl. I do not recommend using a glass bowl like I did because glass is a very poor conductor of heat, whereas stainless steel is much quicker. But for the sake of filming this video, you guys can see through the glass, so it makes it a little bit easier for visuals, but don't use a glass bowl like I did or else you will be here forever. Once the mixture is at 85 degrees Celsius, we're going to remove it from the heat and whisk in 1 sheet of bloomed gelatin, followed by 13 grams or 1 tablespoon of cocoa butter. Cocoa butter is a great dairy-free replacement for real butter when baking because it's thermal reversible. Because the fat in cocoa butter is almost always in perfect crystal form, you can melt it and it will solidify in the same structure, which basically means that it will help this cream to have a gorgeous texture when we are ready to pipe. Anyway, we are going to suffocate this with saran wrap like my dog is suffocating me to pick him up right now, and pop this in the refrigerator while we move on to our panna cotta. We are going to place 400 grams or 1 can of coconut milk into a pot with 100 grams or a 1/4 cup of coconut cream. I am using unsweetened coconut cream for this recipe, but if you cannot find unsweetened coconut cream in your supermarket, make sure that you reduce the sugar in this recipe by 30% because that stuff is sweet. We are going to start gently heating the coconut milk and add in 100 grams or half a cup of white sugar. I'm using white sugar in this recipe so that the final product can remain really white. I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, oh, I should use coconut sugar since this is a coconut dessert, but that will give your panna cotta like a brownish hue, which is totally fine. You could do that as well. Once it comes to a boil, we are going to drop in 3 sheets or 9 grams of gelatin and stir it to dissolve. Then I'm going to strain this into a container that is a little easier to pour out from. Straining will also help us to remove any air bubbles that we've incorporated into the base. And now I'm going to transfer it into my cups. I'm using a scale to weigh them out so that each cup is exactly the same. This recipe yielded me 5 portions at 120 grams each. If you collect any large air bubbles, you can give each cup a few taps and that should pop any bubbles at the surface. Then we are going to place these in the fridge to set up. Now let's move on to our crumble. In the bowl of your stand mixer, we are going to place 10 grams or 1 heaping tablespoon of unsweetened coconut flakes, 24 grams or 2 tablespoons of sugar, 24 grams or 2 tablespoons of flour, 10 grams or 1 tablespoon of almond flour, and 20 grams or 1.5 tablespoons of margarine in a bowl and paddle that until it is thoroughly mixed together like this. You guys will notice that I use unsweetened products most of the time when I'm baking. That way you can really control the sugar in the recipe. And also, if you're not interested in making this recipe dairy-free, you can use regular butter instead of margarine, but you cannot use oil. Then we are going to transfer this onto a small sheet tray and bake it at 325 for about 7 minutes. Then we're going to pull it out and break it apart. then put it back into the oven until it's golden brown and not burnt around the edges like mine. I promise you guys, I am not careless when I'm baking and things burn. I just actually have the worst oven in the history of ovens, in the history of history ever. Then you want to allow this to cool completely and place it in a food processor to break it apart, and you will get a fine and crunchy crumble like this. You want to make sure that you still have texture, so do not over process or else it will turn it into more of a fine powder. And set this aside until we are ready to plate our dessert. And for our last component, we are going to make a lime simple syrup. I know I've said it like 45 times already, but the acidity in the lime really cuts through coconut and they are truly a match made in heaven. This is super simple. We are going to place 80 grams or the juice of 3 small limes in a pot with 40 grams or 3 tablespoons of sugar and bring that to a boil. Once it boils, remove it from the heat and set that aside to cool. And for our final touches for this dessert, I'm going to dice up some mango pieces, saving the perfect pieces for the plate and the scraps for me to snack on because I deserve it. I'm also going to take our chilled simple syrup and suck it up into these plastic pipettes. I really don't know a better way to describe sucking something up into a pipette. I'm sorry, I tried. I also got these from Amazon where I get basically everything. They're really great because they keep the syrup separate until we are ready to eat so that the crumble doesn't get soggy. Of course, you don't need these. You can just spoon the syrup on top whenever you are ready to have your dessert, but they're really cute, so you should get them. And once our panna cotta is set, we are ready to assemble our dessert. I'm going to transfer the mango cremeux into a piping bag with a round tip. If your cremeux got a little bit too bouncy in texture, you can drop it onto your KitchenAid mixer and give it a few paddles to really break apart the texture and then put it into a piping bag. And we are going to pipe the cremeux randomly onto the face of the panna cotta. You don't want to push too hard or it'll go through the panna cotta, and you don't want to put the crumble first either because the cremeux will stick to the crumble and lift it up, trust me. Then we are going to place the crumble around the cream so that we ensure we get the perfect bite every time. Followed by 4 to 5 cubes of fresh mango. I am also zesting a little bit of fresh lime over everything, and finally we are going to stick our pipette into the dessert and we are ready to dig in.
If you will tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again. Life could be a dream. If I could take you up in paradise, I suppose. If you will tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again. And we'll meet again.
Today's recipe. If you are into silky, smooth, custardy, coconutty, crunchy, dairy-free, then this is the perfect dessert for you. I love this dessert because it is so easy to make. It tastes amazing. You could also very easily make this dessert completely vegan by substituting the gelatin for 2 grams of agar-agar or 2 grams of NH pectin. If you guys are interested in more vegan recipes, comment below and I can definitely show you guys some really amazing vegan desserts that are just as good as the real thing. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and you guys can follow me on Instagram for more recipes, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Whoa, yeah. So good.
comment down below what you want me to do.
Oh, life could be a dream if I could take you up in paradise, I suppose.